Welcome to our webinar, How to Pay for Your Child's College Education with as little out of pocket as possible. This is an insider's guide for families who want to pay for their children's college without going broke or putting their retirement lifestyle at risk. My name is Steve Kuna and I will be your host for today's seminar. I've been a financial advisor since 1993. I've got several professional designations that I've accumulated over the years based on my clients' needs. I'm a college planning advisor, wealth manager, retirement income planner, and I've also been voted a top 100 retirement plan advisor by a few industry magazines, and I'm the founder and managing partner of RetirementCFO LLC. Thanks for joining us. Before we get started, I want to cover a couple of brief housekeeping items. First of all, everybody on the session is muted today. Please turn off any distractions you may have in the background. Take out a sheet of paper, be ready to take some notes, and try to take this hour to invest in yourself because it could be worth significant value to your family. And also please keep in mind what I'll cover next. For all of our attendees, we do offer a 1-hour free college planning consultation. However, there is a catch. We ask that you contact us and get your consultation scheduled within 1 week of this webinar. Otherwise, we charge our regular $250 consultation fee. So I've been at this a long time, and we've done some research of our clients/parents' biggest concerns. And really, they fall into 4 categories. One is missing deadlines, making mistakes, not having the time to do everything involved. Next is developing a plan to pay for college, doing something that will hurt their child's chances for college admission, or doing something that will cause them not to get the most financial aid possible. Just to give you a sense of the typical timelines, if you have students that were freshmen, sophomore, or in junior year, pre-college curriculum, campus visits, ACT, SAT test preparation, career aptitude, interest, and value assessments are all things that should be covered. In the senior year of high school, from July to October, it's the time for college applications. Acceptance letters typically are received 8 to 10 weeks after they've been submitted. In October, you submit your FAFSA and your CSS profile if it's required online. And 1 to 2 weeks after the FAFSA is submitted, student age reports are received. In February and March, award letters received from colleges. That's when you cross your fingers. And May 1st is college decision deadlines. First semester bill, that tuition bill that you can't wait to see show up in the mail, is going to be due 4 to 6 weeks before school starts. Here's a great question. We hear this all the time. Today's high cost of college, why is it so ridiculously expensive? Great question. We're going to try to help answer that for you tonight. So it is true, college costs are skyrocketing. And why is it so expensive? Well, here's a few reasons. One is technology costs, upgrades and facilities, staffing costs, which covers not only salaries, but also some very lucrative benefit packages and pension plans, marketing the school, net pricing strategies, guaranteed government loans. And you can see obviously average costs for state versus private schools, they're staggering numbers. So we get it. How is a family supposed to pay for all of this? Obviously, you can use savings, you can borrow, you can cross your fingers for scholarships, you can have your child go to a less expensive school, or just not go at all. So let's talk about savings. Of course, paying for college is super easy. Just take from the $200,000 that's burning a hole in your pocket and pay for college, right? I know I'm being sarcastic. Obviously, you can borrow money. But if you're going to borrow money, would you rather have a tax deduction or no deduction? A fixed payment or an increasing payment? An interest-free loan or a high-interest loan? Or to take a loan each and every semester or have the funds readily available prior to college even beginning? Of course, we all love the idea of scholarships, free money. What's better than that? But what percentage of the $246 billion in available student aid came in the form of scholarships? And actually, believe it or not, it's around 3 or 4%. For more information on scholarships, grants, federal and private loan programs, there's a couple of websites for you to consider. The last one, collegeplanningpartners.org, is actually our website. So take a look and become informed. The last two options, go to a lesser or cheaper school or not go at all. Well, we do not agree with these options. We understand the importance of a college education. We want to help you find a way to make it happen. There's a lot of misconception about financial aid. I think it's important to separate myth from reality. A lot of folks think that if their income is too high, it's not an option. If their students' grades are too low, if they own a home, sometimes they feel that aid is only available for special groups of students. It's an easy process, you'll find otherwise. And people at the school can help, the high school guidance counselors and otherwise. We'll shed some light on some of these misconceptions. Now here's the magic formula to determine what the industry refers to as your financial need, to then determine if you're eligible for various financial packages. So how do we do this? First of all, we look at the COA, cost of attendance, minus what's referred to as the expected family contribution, EFC. It's one of the most important acronym in college planning. COA minus EFC equals the need, which will then help determine what kind of financial aid packages may be available to you. Now, in our opinion, there are three kinds of families that need proper college funding. One are families with total financial need. They just don't have the resources. Families with partial financial need, and families who make too much money to get needs-based financial aid. Bottom line, folks, is that we think that college planning is for everybody and everybody can benefit from it. Now let's talk about the real cost of college depending on your income tax bracket versus the caliber of school you're looking at. Since college tuition is paid for with after-tax money, your income tax bracket has a big impact on the real cost of college. So for example, on the left, we're going to make the assumption that you're in a 17% tax bracket. You're looking at a public versus a private versus an elite school. A public school costs you about $100,000 for 4 years of college, but at your tax rate, it actually costs you $120,000 gross to then have to pay the taxes to net out enough money to pay that college tuition. Obviously, if you go off to the right there, elite colleges, $280,000. Ivy League schools cost you $337,000. However, if you're in a higher tax bracket, that same $100,000 public school would cost you $158,000, almost $159,000. In an elite school, costing you over $400,000. Again, we need to net out after taxes to be able to pay that bill. So your tax situation is a serious consideration. Now, one of the primary reasons I got involved in college planning is because I always focused my practice heavily in the corporate and personal retirement planning business. I watched firsthand far too many couples almost destroy their retirement by failing to properly plan for college. So let's take a look at this chart so we can talk about not only the cost of college, but more importantly, the opportunity cost to your retirement for redirecting, cashing in, or discontinuing retirement savings to pay for a child's college education. Take a look at the chart here. So for example, if you happen to be 15 years out from retirement and you were making an assumption on a 6% rate of return on the cost of college, we're talking about an opportunity cost here between you redirecting that retirement money to the school tuition, costing you about $240,000. If you had 30 years until retirement, because of the impact on the time value of money, that same public school costing $100,000 in today's dollars could actually have a $574,000 impact on your future retirement assets. So it's really significant, and it's really important that we try to help families protect those retirement assets, because your retirement lifestyle can be dramatically hindered if you don't plan accordingly. Okay, I know we haven't painted a pretty picture here, but let's start talking about solutions. So what are the sources of financial aid? Where does the money come from? So there are really four main sources of college aid. Obviously, there's the federal government, there's the state government, there's the colleges and universities themselves, and then private sources. I'm going to review each of these sources and see what they're actually providing. All right, so let's start with the federal government. Obviously, we have grants. Next, we have college work study opportunities. We then have subsidized and unsubsidized direct loans. And then we have Parent Plus loans. Next is our resident state in the form of special programs for in-state residents, also teachers, health professionals, minorities, etc. So moving along, we get to the colleges themselves. Many who have massive endowments that are generally accessed on a first-come, first-served basis, and mostly they're offered to the top 25% of their applicants. And lastly, we have private sources to include scholarships and loans. Now, for a great source of scholarships, check out our scholarship finder on our website homepage, which is collegeplanningpartners.org. So how do you get started in applying for aid? No matter who you are and what's your net worth or income, you all must start with the dreaded FAFSA form. I had a client refer to this application as the dirty F word in college planning, but it is critical that you do it right, and you do it on time. So the CCS profile is the form used to apply for both financial aid directly from the colleges as well as scholarships. Many schools will also have their own forms, and if you have a special circumstance like you are a business or a farm owner, or yours is a divorced or a separated family, you should always submit both the FAFSA and the CSS to maximize the amount of potential financial aid you can receive. All right, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty. This is how we start with our simple formula here. Which colleges are going to give you the best shot at getting money? Well, it comes down to the percentage of need met. Each school is going to have a percentage rating. Some schools will meet 100% of the need and others do not. So remember the COA, cost of attendance, if it's say $20,000, and then we have the family contribution, which is $5,000, that means there's a need for $15,000. $15,000 is the need times the percentage of the need met at that particular school means that $7,500 of the need will be met. $15,000 need times 50% of unmet need means that $7,500 you're going to have to come up with. So $5,000 is the expected family contribution that we talked to about earlier, plus the $7,500 or $7,500 unmet need. We add the two together and we have college costs for that year of $12,500. You must know these statistics before you apply. We have access to this information on every school in the country. So for your best shot at success, you must know the following statistics. How much need does a school meet? How much of that money is free money? How much of that money is self-help money? You need to know these statistics before you apply to the school. All right, so let's compare two schools. We've helped clients send their kids to private schools and pay less than they would for a state school. Let's check out this example here. So on the left, we have Northwestern University, costs $79,000 a year. EFC for this particular family, expected family contribution, $7,878. That means the need is $71,464. But at Northwestern University, they're able to help provide 100% of the need. The breakdown is that there's gift aid, which is 76% or $54,000. There's also what's called self-help at 24%, which is $17,000 and change. So the total family contribution for a $79,000 school is $7,878. Okay, now let's go look over here at Kent State University. Cost $28,000. I mean, less than half of the other school. EFC, as we know, $78,78 for this family. So the need is $20,788. But at this particular school, only 55% of the need will be met, which creates a $9,355 shortfall. So for the breakdown, The needs are going to be met by this school by gift aid at 33%, which is only worth $3,772, and then self-help, putting more on the family, 67% at $7,660. You add that on, and the total family contribution is $17,233. Now we know it does not make any sense, but it is true. It's not about what it costs at the school, it's all about what you pay. So like I told you before, we want to help you not only save for, but save on the cost of college. So let's say your child applies to a few schools, but the school he or she really wants to go to offers a lesser package to your child. Well, we've seen this many times before. So this is why it's best to apply to multiple candidate schools and then, using a properly worded appeal process, play these institutions off each other, essentially prompting them to compete with each other. We have the carefully worded appeal letters that have been tested, tweaked, and fine-tuned over many years, and we make them available to our clients. An effective appeal can save you thousands of dollars, and it may help your child get in their first choice school. Again, many schools will misaward, some schools will underaward, and likely, though, many schools will try to compete with each other, and that's how we have to play it. So here's an example of an award letter from a college, and you'll see the total cost of $60,000 and then award amounts from the school totaling $38,982. The balance is paid in the form of self-help, which essentially is a nice word for loans, and cash payments in the area of about $15,000. Now, after an effective appeal process, the numbers have improved a bit. Now the total award is $47,830, a few $1,000s in loans, and no cash out of pocket. We saved this client in excess of $60,000 over the 4 years of college. So how to appeal for the best possible package? You need to know your options to get the best deal, and that's what we help you do. Financial aid leveraging. This is a reality, folks. More than half of private schools and many public schools engage in financial aid leveraging. This process is used by universities to determine how little aid needs to be awarded to your student to still get him or her to enroll. This is the same process that goes on in almost any negotiation. Each party is trying to get what they want at the lowest possible price. The difference here is now you're starting to understand the rules of the game, where you're able to get more needs-based aid for college because you can learn the legally established rules. Now here are two families with the exact same financial circumstances. The only difference is family A has decided to go it alone in the planning process. Family B decided to hire us. But you can see by doing proper planning, one family had a much lower expected family contribution than the other. The difference, $12,260 per year, or $49,040 over 4 years. Oh, don't you just love it when the government gets involved? Because when they do, the price always seems to go up. The $1.35 trillion Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act of '01, also known as the Full Employment Act for CPAs, financial planners, and attorneys. But other acts that impacted college funding: College Costs Reduction and Access Act of '07, the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of '09, the American Opportunity Tax Credit Extension of 2011, tax-deductible student loan interest, tax-free saving bond redemption, and many others that you must understand how they impact the college financial aid process. That's where we got your back. Speaking of the feds, we know they set the rules for things like available tax credits, penalty-free IRA withdrawals that we need to be familiar with when doing our planning, so we fully understand all your options. Speaking of tax credits and deductions, in my experience, most people are familiar with tax deductions, but it seems they're less familiar with tax credits. Personally, I prefer tax credits, and this is why. A tax credit is a dollar-for-dollar reduction of the tax owed. So you can see on the left here, $1,000 tax deduction times your 28% tax bracket results in $280 worth of savings. However, a $1,000 tax credit in any bracket equals $1,000 worth of savings. Pretty straightforward, but some folks don't fully understand this. So let's talk about what has become the most popular but often misunderstood college savings vehicle, the old Section 529 plan. Are they all they're cracked up to be? What are the so-called benefits and how do they affect financial need? So the real issue with 529 plans. The value of a 529 plan owned by a dependent student or one of their parents, because we know that these can't be held jointly, is considered a parent asset on the FAFSA. About the first $10,000 will fall under the asset protection allowance. The exact amount depends on the older parent's age, but any parental asset beyond that amount will reduce a student's aid package by up to a maximum of 5.64% of the asset's value. So if a parent's 529 account exceeds the asset protection allowance by, say, $10,000, his child's financial aid award will reduce by as much as $564. Obviously, if that account value was $100,000, it would reduce the child's financial aid by $5,640. Of course, nobody wants to lose this money, but the tax-free investment gains that you've earned in your 529 account could likely outweigh this loss. But other student-owned assets are not treated as favorably. So let's look at some language directly off the CSS profile used by the colleges to determine the amount of aid awarded to your family. So this is directly from the profile. Enter the total value of assets held in Section 529 college saving plans that were established for the student by someone other than the student's parents, i.e. grandparents. Enter the estimated amount that will be withdrawn for the student for the upcoming academic year from Section 529 plans for the benefit of the student. The answers to those questions will have a direct impact on the financial aid package that the school is willing to offer. So how you fill out the forms and when you access the funds from your 529 will have an impact. We can refer you to a service that will complete both the FAFSA and the CSS for you so you get this right the first time. Bottom line is if you own a 529 plan, make sure you have a competent college funding professional examine it and help you utilize it correctly to minimize the impact on your financial aid offerings. So getting maximum money for college under these acts is no easy task. So here's a little question for you. Will taking advantage of one of these tax provisions actually reduce the amount of aid you could qualify for? Trick question. Which tax credit should you elect? Do you make too much money to qualify for these particular tax credits? Should you refinance your house to pay for college? Or what are the restrictions on IRAs used for college expenses? So, how not to become a casualty of the Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act. That's a mouthful. First of all, start your college funding planning early. Don't wait to the last minute and end up cramming for this. Especially with the FAFSA timeline changes, you need to start earlier than ever before. So freshman or sophomore year is best to start planning. Make sure your tax professional is completely aware of the required integration and coordination necessary between your tax and your college funding situation. So if you do choose to have someone help you with your college planning, make sure you ask them these basic questions. For example, can you show me how to lower my EFC? If they don't know what EFC means, run out of their office. Can you help pick schools that give me the best aid package? Can you help provide guidance when I fill out the FAFSA and the CSS profile forms or do it for me? Will you show me how to negotiate if I get a bad aid package? And can you show me how to pay for college if I don't qualify for aid? If the extent of the college planning support you're getting from your financial professional is how much money can you put in a 529 plan, you're probably missing out on a lot of opportunities. But what if I make too much money? Honestly, when did this ever become a problem? But this is really not only about trying to get need-based aid. Many other planning strategies are available to lower your overall costs. Cash flow strategies, moving money from the left pocket to the right pocket, merit-based aid strategies, student positioning strategies, appeal strategies, and many, many more tricks that we have up our sleeves. So what are your options? Go through the process yourself? The colleges are going to love you for it. You can spend countless hours scouring the internet, filling out paperwork, giving yourself a migraine. You can potentially end up costing yourself an extra $20,000 or $50,000. You can pay your accountant to do it for you. And while you're at it, maybe you should do your own dental work. I'm just kidding. Now, I know I'm a bit biased here, but what we suggest you do is use the services of a college funding professional. What a crazy idea. What exactly will they do for me? Income and asset planning, help you pick the best fit schools, help you do scholarship searches, federal and school financial aid planning. When should you get started? You can look at our college planning timeline. But what is the next step? So ask yourself these questions. If you have a student going to college in the next 2 to 5 years, can you answer these questions? Do you know your expected family contribution and what your financial aid package might look like at the schools you're considering before you apply? And are there any strategies that you can take advantage of now to help make paying for college more affordable? Now, if you're interested in getting some answers, then request a free college planning consultation from us. It's just that simple. Requirements of the free college planning consultation. I mentioned earlier that there is a catch. I said that the appointment needs to be scheduled within 1 week and it has to happen within 2 weeks of this workshop. The reason being is that one, many of you have already procrastinated enough on this. It's time to take action. But secondly, we run these webinars on a regular basis and we have them scheduled. And as we continue to do webinars, more webinars, we end up doing more bookings. And so it's important that we have our bookings done within a close proximity of each session. Otherwise, it's going to flow over into our next series of webinars. If you're married, both parents must be present. You must have handy the documents and data listed on your college strategy session checklist, which is a document we will send you upon scheduling your consultation. And we are currently conducting our consultations via Zoom video only at this time. Now, one of two things will happen at your free college planning consultation. One is you're going to learn something. Two is we'll end up working together to make college planning easier than you ever expected. So either way, you can't lose. So for those folks that choose to engage us in college planning services, all of our clients will receive a retirement review analysis, a customized college planning action plan, a multi-school comparison report, a college admissions service, which we call Your College List, a form filing service, which is called FAFSA Assist, a scholarship finder report we offer to all clients free of charge for taking action at the consultation and moving forward in the planning process with us. We also provide ACT and SAT and ACT prep, college counseling, essay assistance. All of this is available through referral partners. So I cannot stress enough, folks, of the importance of developing a plan. As good old T. Boone Pickens said, a fool with a plan is better than a genius with none. And we would love to help you get a college plan in place. So again, I will extend my invitation to offer all of you a free college planning consultation today. You can schedule that consultation by picking up the phone and calling my office, sending me an email. You can go to collegeplanningpartners.org. You'll also be receiving a follow-up email for attending this session, and in that email will contain a calendar link that you'll be able to use to have direct access to my calendar. Select a time that works for you. You'll get a confirmation email along with your college fact finder list, and we would look forward to connecting with you via Zoom shortly thereafter. So again, I do want to thank you for your attention and love to have the opportunity to assist you. I wish you all the best. Take care.